3 years ago, Lincoln City hadn't finished in the top half of the National League since being relegated from the Football League in 2011. The club was struggling financially as well as on the pitch, and something had to be done. The introduction of former school teachers Danny and Nicky Cowley as manager and assistant has reinvigorated the club since then. The romance between the brothers and their new club got off to a sensational start by winning the National League and going on a historic FA Cup run. A playoff place finished last season defied the odds, and the Cowleys are now looking for a second promotion in just 3 years. Can the brothers possibly pull off another footballing masterclass? Well, the journey continues.
We would not be here but for Danny and Nicky Cowley, and that's not me trying to make out that Danny and Nicky are some saints that have arrived in the middle of Lincoln. The brutal reality is Lincoln City were a mid-table National League team with 2,500 to 3,000 people going to games at Sincil Bank.
Much of the club's recent success has been down to the money earned from the 2016-17 FA Cup run. The club have built a £1.6 million state-of-the-art training facility that has enabled them to pull in some of the best players around the lower leagues.
Yeah, I mean, financially it's been huge with the training facility they've got. That's made a big difference, and I think that will continue to make a big difference in the future, in the fact that Lincoln have got somewhere to show off now to new signings, and it's going to make a big difference in that sense. I think the FA Cup run was the start of the journey, to coin a Danny Cowley phrase, because the games against Oldham and Ipswich in particular, they were the first times it was like, wow, Lincoln City are reborn in a sense.
So what do the players think of their manager and this brand new training ground?
Yes, I think everybody can lose their raggers. There's been games this season where we've been disappointing, but he keeps us level, never too high, never too low. It's a motto that he lives by, and he does it very well. We look after ourselves as players, and he does that as a manager as well. And they've been a revelation since they've come in. They've done brilliant. They've picked a club up that's now potentially going into League One. So the club, the training ground, you look around, people like Reedy and Sam still in the building that were there during the FA Cup run. So to have this building now for us new players to come in, it's a massive draw for new players if they want to come, with the crowds they're getting, and can only, in my opinion, go from strength to strength.
I think you only have to look around the city and what it's done to the people. Have a look at this place we're in now, and it's all thanks to their success and what they've managed to do for the football club. Their hard work, their relentless hours of dedication to football has been successful, and it's put us in this great position that we're in now.
The first hurdle to overcome in the run into the end of the season was Stevenage. However, a late double from Elias Chair meant the visitors gained a 2-2 draw at Sincil Bank, much to the delight of their manager. But Danny Cowley didn't seem worried.
Jules, it's a time for us to take stock, stick together, and learn and come back stronger.
The next test was a lot tougher on paper, with promotion-chasing Exeter in town. The visitors took the lead and were heading towards an unlikely victory, but John Akindi stepped up for the Imps, equalising in the last minute. One ex-Imp believes the influx of supporters will be enough to see them over the line this season.
You've only got to look at the attendances. I mean, phenomenal. And they've put the feel-good factor back into the city, and especially into supporters. But what I think one of the main things for me, what they've done, they regenerate in the next supporters, which Danny and Nicky are getting.
The Imps looked as if they were stumbling. However, the team put those fears to rest with an impressive run of games. A John Akindi double against Forest Green was enough to seal a 2-1 victory over their fellow automatic promotion chasers. Next up at Sincil Bank were a pair of games against struggling oppositions that the Imps needed to make the most of. Yeovil was swept aside by a strong Mark O'Hara header following some skillful work from Harry Anderson. And Oldham were defeated too, thanks to this clever link-up play and finish from Imps left-back, of all people, Harry Toffolo. Mansfield away is always a big derby day. However, this year's tie at the Stags had the added bonus of both teams going for promotion.
Yeah, I felt going into that game, it was one of those games where you just don't lose. I felt Lincoln were very close to clinching automatic promotion by that phase. Mansfield really needed to win to keep their title hopes alive, really. It was a real big point. It wasn't the best of games, it was a bit scrappy, there was a lot at stake. But yeah, getting that point, getting that late penalty from John Akindi, a real high pressure kick at the time, I think that was a real big moment, not losing that game. And I think at that stage Lincoln's had one foot in League One.
A really extraordinary day. I mean, 5,500 Lincoln City fans. You know, I can genuinely remember Lincoln City having just 1,500, 2,000 at games at home, and to suddenly have 5,000, 5,500 travelling away in itself was incredible. But it wasn't just that the supporters travelled. I thought they created an incredible atmosphere at the ground, and to be behind the goal must have been an incredible second half for the players kicking towards it. And then once again what they did first of all is they kept a rival behind them, and then they took their chances. You know, the John Akinde penalty, was it really a foul on Shane McCartan? Maybe it was a little generous, but they took that little sort of window of opportunity and made sure they got the result there. Then a fantastic save from Chilks, knocks the ball downfield. From my memory, it was a John Akinde layoff, and you know, I can still picture Bruno Andrade scoring. And I always think the big moments in the football club's history, and I think back in recent years to, for example, Burnley away when Sean Raggett scored, those moments almost feel like they're in slow motion, and thinking back they almost feel like they're in slow motion. You know, I can see little things that were happening around me when that goal went in, and I see it all in slow motion even now when I think about it. And I'd say very much the same in the case of the Burnley goal, or maybe even Nathan Arnold's against Ipswich. Those big moments in the club's recent history, they always seem to just slow down time. I don't know what happens, and you really get into it. And in terms of the commentating on that goal, it just felt like it was the most important goal of the season. I think it's proven to be the goal that won the championship effectively, because no other team has gone past those points since Lincoln did. So, you know, it was actually the goal that won the championship, although we weren't to know at the time.
All week we understood the responsibility on our shoulders in terms of the importance in our season and the magnitude of the game, and the fact you're taking more than 6,000 people with you, and we just wanted to be the best version of us, and I think the bit that makes me proud is that we actually were able to bring our A game at such an important moment, and it's a good day for us because the performance and the processes were really good.
Very special. I've never heard anything like that. 5,500 fans at any level, let alone League Two. So to have that atmosphere was brilliant from the start of the game. It felt pretty surreal actually going to the games. The stadium's so huge, and it's a fantastic stadium. And to have that whole sort of that behind the goal is all red and white was brilliant. And to get the result and Bruno to score in the manner he did, right in front of the crowd, was brilliant.
Amazing. To think that a League Two team can have that support away from home is just unbelievable, and it just shows how far it's come. I didn't think we'd beat the support and the fan base at Everton, but to do that in a League Two match away from home is just frightening.
So the Imps could claim promotion to League One as long as the results went their way, with a draw at home to Cheltenham. Shane McCartan put the Imps into the ascendancy with another strike from outside the area. but the Robins looked to steal the show with a late equaliser. Fortunately for the Imps, the point was enough to gain promotion back to League One.
Lincoln City are promoted.
I was sat at the back of the stand. I was sat on our little ISDN kit at the top of the stand, and I was chatting, and we were like, we've done it, we know we've done it. So I went down and had to tell Michael while he was live on air, saying, I think we've done it. And I remember running to Clive Nates, who had no idea, the chairman, going, I think we've done it. But we all were waiting for the final result, and it was all a strange afternoon. In fact, the whole thing has been, in a sense, and it sounds weird to say, it's a bit of an anticlimax. The promotion game was, we didn't really know.
Lincoln had the chance to win the league away at Carlisle, but were defeated 1-0 after Jason Shackle was sent off early on, meaning that a point against fellow promotion chasers Tranmere Rovers, with results going their way once again, would be enough to give the Imps their third trophy in 3 years and a second championship title. A 0-0 draw meant it was pitch invasion time.
And let's not forget, it's only the 5th title they've actually won as a league title in the Football League in their 118 years, something like that history. You have to put it in context, 43 years since the last time. None of the coaching staff, none of the playing staff were alive, apart from the kit manager, last time Lincoln City did it. That sort of puts to me the context of what was achieved. And I know that a lot of people are looking forward to next season, and I think we need to enjoy what's happened so far and not forget that these things don't come around that often. And yes, we can be hopeful with Danny and Nicky going forward, but just also enjoy the moment, savour the moment.
Yeah, it feels fantastic. Obviously it pays off for all the hard work we put in since the end of June really. It's a good feeling, and yeah, we'll remember this for a long time.
Great, it's a great achievement. That's what we set out to do at the start of the season. It's happened, so yeah, lovely.
I was just saying, long journey in the last 2-3 years, but the hard work we've put in has finally paid off today, and two championships in 3 seasons has been a roller coaster, but one which we've enjoyed, and now share it with the people who come out and support us every day. And to be a champion is, I think that's 5 promotions now, which we're proud of, and 3 titles, and to be a champion is amazing, and I'm just proud for the group. I'm just so pleased for the boys because, like I've said, they've got a real togetherness, a real spirit, and a relentless work ethic. And it's, you always feel proud when you're part of something and you see people working really, really hard and get the rewards that they deserve.
Lincoln City's history shows that we don't do things easily. We always struggle to get over the line, whatever it might be, whether that's for a promotion, whether that's for fighting against relegation, whatever it might be. So I think Lincoln City have done it the Lincoln City way.
Well, that's it. The season is finished and Lincoln City have amounted a total of 85 points, giving them the title of League Two champions. The Imps will start next season's campaign in the dizzy heights of League One. Where will this meteoric rise under the Cowley brothers end? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, the journey continues.